Okay, y'all, so let's talk about what's going to be on this garbage Raw. So, supposedly, we're going to have Roman Reigns Acknowledgement Ceremony. So, you really think Jacob Fatu is about to acknowledge Roman on Raw? Horrible. On top of that, the Usos didn't even come out at Backlash to help Roman. So, why should they come out now, basically? Now, on top of that, you also got to think, okay, so you got the Usos, you got Roman, you got Solo. I mean, not Solo, you got Jacob. Sorry about that. Not Solo. You got Jacob. You know, what else is there to the bloodline? You know, it's just Roman and the Usos. Next, you got Ethan Page segment. No one cares about Ethan Page. You know, he's lower card right now. A Seth Rollins segment feuding with the Vision. Brie Bella and Paige is supposed to appear. I bet you they're gonna brawl. You're gonna have Danhausen supposedly. You know, we don't care about Danhausen. I mean, the crazy part, Danhausen character sucks so bad. He's just comedy relief, and it's the lowest form of comedy. Becky Lynch is gonna complain. We know that. Judgment Day segment is gonna be scattered throughout Raw. That's going to be garbage. Now, supposedly you're going to have a 6-man tag, Division versus, they're calling it Street Henry. You know, the Street Profits and Joe Henry. Now, I don't think Braun Breaker is going to be in that match. Now, you're going to have LA Knight going to appear. LA Knight is in purgatory. Just give us a LA Knight versus Penta feud. But that's going to be hard to kind of do. So honestly, I would... Man, I mean, y'all really threw Jacob in this when you should have just threw LA Knight in it. Let LA Knight and Roman have something to keep LA Knight in that, you know, upper mid card. And then maybe we could have came to Jacob at some point. Then the Oba Femi Open Challenge. If Oba Femi defeated Brock like that, why couldn't Oba, you know, just defeat Cody or face Roman or something? You know, no one would have been mad if Roman would have beat Oba. But if Roman is struggling against Jacob, there is no way Oba should lose to Roman or lose to a Jacob Fatu. You know, we're going to get this Oba Femi Open Challenge probably until King of the Ring, and maybe Oba will win King of the Ring. You know, we got all these challenges. Oh, the John Cena challenge now. Like, man, wrestling is garbage, honestly. I would say watch AEW, but AEW is basically no better than WWE. One thing about AEW, they may have a little bit of more substance, but no one in AEW can actually have a good wrestling match. If you watch AEW, everything looks choreographed to a T, and no one in that company has any kind of ring awareness or ring psychology to do some of the stuff that they're doing. All of this flippy dippy nonsense is too much. You can do your flippy dippy stuff, but you know, why would I do a high impact move, then another high impact move, then another high impact move, then another high impact move, pin the person and they kick out? They're doing like 10 finishers that should be an ending match. on a regular show, because everyone wants to get their stuff in night after night. No one wants to have a 5 to 7 minute good match and not have to hit their finisher 20 times. You know, why are we doing, you know, your finisher doesn't get a 3 anymore. You know, it's stupid. Like, they're trying to have these pay-per-view matches on weekly television with barely any story. You know, that's just the problem with AEW to me. You know, when AEW first came out, it was different. We were like, oh my goodness, like their wrestling was way better than WWE, but then it just got, okay, y'all, like, we understand y'all just came out, y'all on television, you know, that's fine. But man, when you're watching these choreographed sunset flips on everything, and it's everyone's doing the super kick, everyone's doing a spear. It's like people are mad at Royce Keys for his finishing move being like this high impact spine buster, but no one else is doing it. You know, that's the only difference in wrestling from WWE to AEW. WWE has a slight ring awareness ability. They wrestle, they can wrestle slow, they can wrestle fast, you know, but WWE veterans are leaving. So, you know, when you watch, you know, Matt Cardona kind of wrestle, you get to see that. You know, Gunther is a good example. If Gunther went to AEW, he would dominate, just not because of who he is, it's because how he wrestles. It would give people, the viewer, a little relief from like, damn, we just saw like 10 finishers, we saw 30 flips, we saw all kind of stuff that just, like, how many times can you do 10 false finishes on a show? Like, man, like that's the only reason why AEW ain't overtake WWE. Go get an Eric Bischoff, get you some really good coaches in the back. You know, Mick Foley would be good. You know, Mick Foley was good at that. You know, wrestling just sucks right now, but we gonna see what's gonna happen on Raw.